A storied rock legend gave a streaming service that has more than 172 million paid users an ultimatum this week. It's Joe Rogan or me.
Neil Young's music is canceled from Spotify. He got so upset at Spotify and caused such a stir that he managed to get his own music removed from the platform. The fight began over the musician's disagreement with statements from Joe Rogan about coronavirus and vaccines. Young demanded that Spotify choose between him and Rogan, saying they can have Rogan or Young, not both. Spotify appeared to agree, and they quickly removed all of Neil Young's music. However, they also plan to add a disclaimer to Joe Rogan's show when he talks about COVID or other health topics. Joe Rogan defended himself against the accusations by pointing out how quickly banned statements about COVID have become acceptable.
They have an opinion that's different from the mainstream narrative. I wanted to hear what their opinion is. Those episodes in particular, those episodes were labeled as being dangerous. They had dangerous misinformation in them. The problem I have with the term misinformation, especially today, is that many of the things that we thought of as misinformation just a short while ago are now accepted as fact. Like, for instance, 8 months ago, if you said, if you get vaccinated, you can still catch COVID and you can still spread COVID, you would be removed from social media. They would ban you from certain platforms. Now, that's accepted as fact.
He also pointed out that he has had several mainstream guests on his show, such as CNN's chief medical correspondent, Sanjay Gupta. However, he said that in the future, he plans to invite more mainstream guests.
I'm just a person who sits down and talks to people and has conversations with them. Do I get things wrong? Absolutely, I get things wrong, but I try to correct them. Whenever I get something wrong, I try to correct it because I'm interested in telling the truth. I'm interested in finding out what the truth is. And I'm interested in having interesting conversations with people that have differing opinions.
So how did this all start? Before Neil Young's public statements, another group had already been calling on Spotify to cancel Rogan's show over his open discussions with doctors and researchers about COVID data, treatment, and vaccines. The main reason why these groups have called for Spotify to cancel Joe Rogan is because they know that the reach of his show is enormous, and Rogan refuses to toe the line of talking points set by mainstream institutions. Beyond his blockbuster career in sports announcing, comedy, and reality television, he hosts the most popular and influential podcast on the planet, The Joe Rogan Experience. Right now, every one of his episodes reportedly have at least 11 million listeners, far surpassing the top primetime anchors at Fox, CNN, and MSNBC several times over. As Canadian psychologist and best-selling author Jordan Peterson explained, that's because Rogan doesn't lie, talk down to his audience, or manipulate for his own narrow advantage. Having hosted pretty much everyone under the sun and across the political spectrum, from Jack Dorsey and Elon Musk to Bernie Sanders and Alex Jones, the show has earned itself a reputation as a place for listeners to hear new and interesting ideas from a wide variety of worldviews. So naturally, with COVID-19 dominating the conversation for 2 years now, Rogan welcomed Dr. Robert Malone onto his show. He is credited as one of the inventors of the mRNA technology behind 2 of the 3 major COVID vaccines currently in millions of people's arms. Malone took on world governments, pharmaceutical companies, and mainstream media, accusing them of using the COVID crisis to fearmonger and enhance their own power. In the aftermath, these institutions slammed Rogan and Malone with charges of misinformation, even scrubbing the doctor from the internet. YouTube took down the episode, Malone was banned from Twitter, and a group of 270 medical professionals, most of whom aren't actually doctors, sent a letter to Spotify urging the removal of the conversation. But before we continue, here's a quick word from our sponsor. This Valentine's Day, make sure your loved ones get the recognition they deserve. Established Titles is your opportunity to earn the title of Lord or Lady in Scotland. All you need is a 1 square foot plot of land and a certificate. Established Titles is a project based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lairds, or lords and ladies in English. In your title pack, you will receive at least 1 square foot of dedicated land on a private estate, and an official certificate with a crest. Your certificate will include a unique plot number with which you can see the exact location of your land. Established Titles commits to preserving the woodlands, not only in Scotland, but around the planet. They have partnerships with global charities like One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future to help with our afforestation efforts. And for every order they receive, a tree is planted. Established Titles is having a great Valentine's Day sale, so go to establishedtitles.com/dailywire to save 10% off today. And remember to use the discount code DailyWire or just click the link below. That's establishedtitles.com/dailywire, or just click the link below. Joining his voice with that self-righteous, trust the science throng was none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Neil Young. Now, if you're asking yourself, who is Neil Young, you're definitely not alone. The Canadian-American singer and songwriter was primarily active through the 1970s and 80s. He has nearly 50 albums, many of which have gone multi-platinum. Ironically, Rockin' in the Free World is one of his most famous songs, but recently, he has seemed more interested in restricting free speech. While he is a very accomplished artist, one ranking listed Young as the 763rd most popular artist on Spotify at the beginning of 2022. Compared to Joe Rogan's #1 podcast with millions of listeners per episode, Neil probably wasn't a top priority for the executives at Spotify. Not letting that reality discourage him, Young wrote an open letter to Spotify explaining that he would remove his music from the platform if they did not remove the Rogan and Malone interview. Young said that he's doing this because Spotify is spreading fake information about vaccines, potentially causing death to those who believe the disinformation being spread by them. Now, Spotify's executives were caught between a rock and a hard place. Should they keep their reported $100 million exclusive relationship with the world's most popular podcaster? Or should they choose the washed-up rock singer and his wannabe COVID authoritarianism? Unsurprisingly, Spotify sided with Rogan and scrapped all of Young's music. Oddly enough, Neil Young might not have had the authority to tell Spotify what to do with his own music. In 2021, the artist sold a 50% stake in his huge music library for $150 million. It's not publicly known if he remains a part owner or who has the controlling stake. Although Spotify's decision appears to have fended off anyone else who would attempt to go after their cash cow, many leftists vowed on social media that they would cancel Spotify and listen to Neil Young on rival apps. Obama White House photographer Pete Souza, for example, announced that he is switching over to Apple Music, doubtlessly causing even more fear and trembling at the Spotify offices. On the other end of the spectrum, conservatives began plastering Young for making a stand by shooting himself in the foot. In the words of Babylon Bee's managing editor, he pulled one over on cancel culture by just canceling himself. Or as another Babylon Bee team member said, imagine telling a gas station that they can't sell diesel if they want to continue selling Diet Sunkist. Author Douglas Murray said that Young started a proverbial fight with Rogan and then immediately knocked himself out. First, Young needs to learn that Spotify cares more about the #1 podcaster than the 763rd artist. Then, it's time for another important lesson in the School of Hard Knocks. If you come at the king, you best not miss. I'm Brett Cooper for the Daily Wire. Thanks for watching.